Hola y bienvenido a Piedra Curiosa, the site for Spanish language learning. Today we're going to learn how to conjugate AR verbs. But before we do that, let's review our subject pronouns. In Spanish, there are two ways to tell who is speaking. The first one is the subject pronoun. A subject pronoun is just a fancy way of telling us who is carrying out the action. For example, in English, subject pronouns are words like I, you, we, he, she. These words have their Spanish equivalent, and just like in English, Spanish pronouns are placed in front of the verb. The Spanish subject pronouns are placed inside of this table. Each one has a corresponding English definition. For example, yo means I. Tú is the informal way of saying you. Usted is the formal way of saying you. Él means he, and ella means she. Nosotros and nosotras mean we. Vosotros and vosotras mean you all, and this is typically used in Spain. Ustedes is the traditional way of saying you all, and both ellos and ellas mean they. In order to distinguish who is speaking, I have to put my subject pronoun in front of the verb, just like in English. So if I wanted to say she speaks, I would have to find the equivalent for she in my chart over here, which is ella. And in Spanish, I would say ella habla. In Spanish, they also use another way of distinguishing who is speaking, and that's called the conjugation. The conjugation is a change that comes at the end of the word. There are AR verbs, ER verbs, and IR verbs. I can tell what kind of verb it is by looking at the end of the verb. For example, here's my AR, my ER, and my IR. Today we're going to learn how to conjugate verbs that end in AR. Let's use the example hablar. See if you can find the AR ending. Good. Now that we found it, let's get rid of it. Just like before, when we learned about our different subject pronouns, there is a unique verb conjugation that corresponds with each pronoun. These conjugations tell us who is doing the action, and they correspond with the subject pronouns that we learned about before. For example, in order to say I speak, I would have to say yo hablo, or simply hablo. In order to say you speak informally, I would say tú hablas. To say you speak formally, or to say he or she speaks, I would say usted, él, or ella habla. Try one on your own. If you were thinking yo hablo, then you were right. Let's move over to the plural column. At the top, we have nosotros or nosotras hablamos. Then below that, we have second person plural, which is vosotros or vosotras habláis. And at the bottom, we have ustedes hablan, which also means you all speak. And then of course, ellos and ellas both mean they speak. You may also use more than one name here. For example, Rodrigo and Ana speak. Rodrigo y Ana hablan. If you only had one name, for example, Rodrigo, you would use the third person singular. Rodrigo habla. Try a new verb on your own. Conjugate the verb mirar. Pause the video for some extra time. Welcome back. Let's check out your process and the answers that you should have come up with. You should have gone through these steps in order to come up with the right answer. Start out with the infinitive verb, then eliminate the ending and add the appropriate conjugations for each subject pronoun. Check your answers. Let's finish up by practicing the endings. O, as, a, amos, ais, an. Practice repeating these endings on your own until you can remember all of them correctly. Thanks for watching today, and for more grammar videos, check in at piedracuriosa.com and enjoy your Spanish learning. Hasta luego!